How's it rockin', Dween Nation? You're listening to the Dween Sports Podcast. We're about to get underway. But before you give us a listen, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share. We are posting weekly sports content, and we want to build up the brand that is Dween Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy.
In Dween Nation, this is your host, Justin Paez, alongside Janoah Agudelo, and we got college football rapid picks today for week 13 of the college football season. We just analyzed, reacted to the CFP ranking for this week. Like, wow, there should be more Big Ten teams or SEC teams. Go check it out for yourself to hear what we had to say as we move. And now we're transitioning to talking about the games that are on the slate this week. Obviously, we got Indiana, Ohio State's a big one. You got A&M at Auburn's pretty interesting there. You got Army at Notre Dame, BYU at Arizona State. So there's some good games this week. Obviously, next week is the big rivalry weekend, which that's going to be a really exciting episode. The last episode or the last games of the regular season for college football. So we're very close to the end of the regular season before we jump into conference championships and bowls and then the CFP. So excited to dive into all of that with you, man. But before we do, how you doing?
Yo, Dween Nation. Justin, I'm doing good. Like I mentioned, we're on the road to the college football playoffs there. It is going to be a massive party there. It's going to be some upsets. There's going to be some teams that are left out. And it kind of starts this week there. There's going to be some teams that we're going to, after the rapid picks discuss. If they lose, they could be possibly out of it for sure, out of their prospective conference championship, but definitely out of the playoffs. So definitely excited to get down with it. And yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got my timer ready. I'm ready to rock.
Yes. I'm ready when you are. I'll go ahead and count you down right now.
All right, do it.
Cool. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, we start on Friday night, actually. UNLV goes into San Jose State. San Jose State put up a good fight against Boise State, but I got UNLV winning this game. Then we move Kentucky at Texas. Texas is going to get the win in a closer game, but I think it's just because Texas is looking forward to next week at A&M. Then we got Indiana at Ohio State in the game of the week. I got Ohio State winning by double digits. It's going to be a big shutdown game for Indiana, unfortunately. Then we got Wake Forest at Miami. Miami gets the dub. Ole Miss at Florida. Florida looked really good last week, but I got Ole Miss winning this game on the road. SMU at Virginia. SMU continues to win. They win their 10th game of the season. Illinois at Rutgers. Honestly, I don't know why Illinois is ranked. I have Rutgers winning and taking Illinois out of the rankings immediately after 1 week. UMass plays Georgia. Come on, Georgia's going to get that one. UTEP at Tennessee. Go Tennessee. They're going to win that, the Vols. Penn State at Minnesota. This is a trap game. And you know what? I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think they're going to win an upset Penn State to really kind of end their season. Then we got BYU at Arizona State. Arizona State is looking really good after the big win last week. I have them beating BYU, and BYU just collapses after losing to Kansas last week, which I got right. And this week's going to be, unfortunately, the same fate for them. Colorado at Kansas. Kansas is the team that's hot, but Colorado gets the victory. The Citadel plays Clemson. Clemson wins. Wofford at South Carolina. South Carolina gets the W. Missouri at Mississippi State. Missouri is somehow ranked, but they get the win. Army at Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins this one pretty convincingly. Then we move to Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium. The Texas A&M Aggies go against Auburn. This one's going to be close, but A&M's going to wrap it up at the end of the game. They'll get the victory. Boise State at Wyoming. Boise State gets the victory. Bama at OU. OU is just not good this year. Alabama gets the victory. And we end with Iowa State versus Utah, and Iowa State wins.
All right, Justin, you're exactly at 2 minutes there. 2 minutes.
All right.
Not bad. There was a good amount of matchups that I'm going to have my eye on some matchups for sure this week. I'm guessing Oregon is on a bye, correct?
Yeah, I didn't say their names, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing Oregon's on a bye, which kind of makes sense because I from what I remember all year, they've kind of been playing kind of every game this year. So I guess it's kind of right for that team to get a bye. But whenever you're ready, I'll be ready to go there.
All right, go ahead. I'm ready. Ready? 3. Oh, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, here we go. We go to UNLV visiting San Jose State. Give me UNLV. Kentucky visits my Longhorns. Give me the Texas Longhorns. Indiana gets dominated by Ohio State and Columbus. Give me the Buckeyes. We go to Miami, where they kind of get things back on track to get, on the road to the playoffs. They defeat Wake Forest. Give me the Hurricanes. We go to Florida and Gainesville, where Ole Miss dominates. Give me those, Rebels. Then we go to Virginia. Give me SMU. They're 13th. I think that they get a pick. They pick up a victory on the road. Then we got Rutgers and Illinois. Give me Illinois. We go to Georgia, which, come on, they dominate Massachusetts, especially them being at home. We go to Knoxville, where they get back on track and they beat UTEP. And then we go to Minnesota, where you had Penn State losing. I like Penn State as one of my dark horses, I say, to win it all. Give me Penn State to dominate in Minnesota. Then we go to BYU and they go to Arizona State. Give me BYU there. I like them. Then we go to Kansas, where they host the Buffs. Give me Colorado. I love my Sanders family there. Then we have the Citadel visiting Clemson. Give me Clemson to win. Wofford against South Carolina. Give me South Carolina. Missouri goes to Mississippi State. They dominate. Give me Missouri. Army and Notre Dame. This is going to be a close one, actually, I think. But I think Notre Dame breaks away late. Give me Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Then we go to Wyoming, where they host Boise State. Give me Boise State. Oklahoma and Alabama. Let's go Crimson Tide. I think they dominate Oklahoma. Then we go to Auburn, it's a little bit of a trap game for the Aggies. But I do think the Aggies break away late in the third quarter. Auburn is still a tough place to play, no matter where, no matter what the record is. But still, give me the Aggies. And lastly, Iowa State at Utah. Give me Iowa State.
All right, you got 153. You beat me by 7 seconds. Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, we were pretty aligned on our takes besides the Penn State one. Yeah, I mean, what to discuss from here? Go ahead.
Justin, there's something about this Penn State team that I like. First of all, looking at what they've done so far this year, they lost to Ohio State by 7, and that's all you need to know. Yes, they were home, but I just like this team there. Looking at their team overall, I like the running back. I like Allen. I think he's a decent running back. He's got 600 yards with 5 touchdowns there. The quarterback, Aller, I think his name is. He could be better, but I'm a big fan, Justin, of their tight end, Tyler Warren. He is a senior. He is balling this year. He's got 800 yards. I think he's a stud there. And Penn State's team is always going to be pretty decent, but this is one thing in the college football playoffs. They're not going to have that home field advantage all throughout the playoffs. Obviously, most of these, back half the last 2 rounds, or 3, I would say, are going to be at neutral sites. So they're not going to have that really ruckus home field advantage as Penn State is known to have there. But I just like this team to kind of get gritty, wins. In this playoff format, I think that they can kind of run the table there and maybe upset some teams. I don't know. They're just my dark horse to win it. They're currently ranked 4, and I think that's the appropriate kind of rankings for them. This wasn't a team that, just lost badly to Ohio State. It came to the end. And you know what? That's something that they can hold their head high on. And if there's a chance that they see each other, obviously it possibly might not be in their Big Ten title, because that's possibly going to be Oregon and Ohio State. But I just like this team to win a few games, maybe be kind of an upsetting team in that playoff. And looking this week, you said that they were going to lose to Minnesota. I think they actually dominate Minnesota on the road. I think that, Penn State knows that they might not be making that Big Ten title game, but it doesn't matter. They want to make the playoff game, so I think they'll probably win out for sure. But I think that they can definitely run the table. Looking at these, other matchups there, let me get your thoughts first on Penn State before I kind of go on.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this, right? And yes, Penn State, to me, honestly, I'm a little bit on the flip side of what you've been saying. Penn State, they suffered that loss to Ohio State, which I guess you can't condemn them for too much. It was a home game that they were up in the first quarter. They only scored 6 points after the first quarter. But looking past that game, maybe give them that mulligan. They lost to Ohio State. But what else have they really done this year? They beat an Illinois team that's, to me, pretty fraudulent. They beat USC, which maybe at the beginning of the year looked like a good win, but USC has really struggled this year. I think they're under 500 or right around 500. They're 5-5, so they're right at 500. They beat Washington by a lot, which was good. Good to see for them. But it just hasn't been any prominent wins. Which makes me that's what makes me kind of wishy-washy for them to kind of make it any further than where they are. And Minnesota, this just seems like a game that they might be looking ahead towards the CFP. People are saying, "Oh, Penn State's just going to cruise the rest of the way." I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a little bit shocking, and I do pick Minnesota to win. It will be a close game to me. I can't see Penn State just going crazy on it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that game. I think the Indiana-Ohio State game is always the one of discussion this week, probably the game of the week, the 5 seed versus the 2 seed. Even though to me Indiana's an undeserving 5 seed for not having played anybody this year, really.
Sure.
They played Michigan, and it was a close game that they almost lost in. Now they play Ohio State, which honestly, this is not one of the better Ohio State teams that we've seen over the last decade. They're still good. They're still good for sure, but they're not going to just dominate. They haven't been like super dominant. And they lost 2 starting offensive linemen, so they're coming a little shorthanded, but they are home. And I think they know that people are skeptical of this Indiana team, and they want to expose them for it. So I think Ohio State's going to bring it. And I think another game that we really haven't discussed much is Ole Miss at Florida. Now, Ole Miss has been really on a tear since, they beat Georgia. I think they had a bye week last week. They dominated Arkansas by 33. They scored 63 points. They have a big win over South Carolina. Then they had 2 really close losses to LSU and Kentucky. So those are their bad L's or just the losses they've had, but they've both been 3-point losses. So it's like, how bad or how really good is Ole Miss? But you look at last week with Florida, they kind of dominate. Like it was close early on, but they kind of dominated the Tigers, the LSU Tigers, and really, sent them packing, home packing like sad. Could this game be a trap game for Ole Miss? I feel like they're looking ahead, maybe that hey, this season's almost a wrap. We're in the playoff. We're ahead of Georgia. So they've had their big win of the year. Is this a spot they could lose?
Well, looking at this matchup, first of all, I want to say, talk about the, Florida Gators, because they most definitely won't be making any kind of playoff, maybe not even a bowl game, perhaps there, Justin. But, you got to think about if DJ Lagway was able to play the whole season, could they have been a, force there? I would say his only loss there, I don't think he had a loss as a starter, I would say, looking at the schedule. Maybe they could have gave Texas a run for the money. I do think he did play against Georgia. I think that's the game he got hurt. He's been in and out the lineup all year, but he's a solid quarterback. I do think that, if he plays next year, maybe they have he definitely will play next year. They'll definitely have a better season with him. He's only a freshman. And so looking at this matchup there, Justin, I do think that now it's to show the world what you have for next year and maybe forcing a, bowl game. Ole Miss is beatable, with, Lane Kiffin as their head coach. He has some flops definitely as a head coach. He's kind of like the Kyle Shanahan of college football, I would compare him to. He's just a little goofy. He's somewhat of a likable guy. He is somewhat of a genius. He's fall from that Saban tree. But I think that he is beatable. You are able to expose him. And this game being on the road there, I think that DJ Lagway has the, home field advantage behind him there in Gainesville to kind of, rally this, season. It's not a dead season for Florida. So it's going to be a very interesting matchups. Those 11 o'clock a.m. games, Justin, there's always some random upset that happens in that slate. It's not like those primetime games where the, better teams usually dominate. But, Justin, I think that this is a game that you can really, keep your eye on because Ole Miss is looking to make their name in the SEC. They're currently 5th. They might not make the SEC title game, but Justin, you never know in a conference like that with Georgia having 2 losses, Alabama having 2 losses. If my Longhorns lose to your Aggies in 2 weeks, they'll have 2 losses. So you really just never know, Justin, what could happen. It's going to get very wacky there. But, looking at this Ole Miss team, Justin, this is a running back that not too many people talk about. And it's Parrish, just my guy Parrish. He's been around for some time. But also there's another running back that has been coming back. I think he's from injury. He's from Houston. His name is Euless Bentley, and he's been around for some time for the Rebels. And he's kind of been getting touches the past couple weeks. So if they can get these 2 running backs that kind of together there, the quarterback Dart, I would say he's having a good Jackson Dart, excuse me. He's having a great senior year there for them. 22 touchdowns, 4 picks only. So it's going to be quite an interesting game. Justin, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think I picked Ole Miss to win this game, but it really can go either way.
Yeah, and I think the surprising part about Florida is their defense has been really good. Lagway obviously has flipped this season on its head for Florida because it was looking like it was about to be colossally bad, and they'd probably fire Napier, but they're keeping Napier, and they had a big win here, and they played a lot of teams close. Obviously, they got smoked by Texas, but Lagway didn't play that game. They played Tennessee really close and Florida close before Lagway got injured. So Florida might be. I mean, obviously, yes, their season's over. Hopefully, they get a bowl game. They might not, based on their record. But they're right there, and I think that game's going to be interesting. I think I think honestly, either Florida wins this game or Ole Miss just wins by like 20, 30 points. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those flip flops kind of thing. And then what was the one last game? Oh, I wanted to give myself some credit. I know this is kind of selfish right here, but last week I went on the pod here and I said Kansas was going to be by BYU, and this is exactly what happened. It felt really good to have an upset like that go down. Kansas on the road. And I'm sorry, Kansas Jayhawk fans who are watching this, if now I'm not picking you, I'm picking Colorado to win, which I could totally see Kansas pulling it out. They're one of the hottest teams in football right now. But I was just pointing that out, and that kind of flows into the BYU Arizona State game where we saw Arizona State upset Kansas State last week, and now they get to host BYU, who's coming off of a heartbreaking loss to Kansas. That game's going to be interesting. There's a lot of good games this weekend. I feel like a lot of fans maybe are looking 1 week ahead to rivalry weekend where we get a bunch of big games that are on the slate, which we're excited to discuss next week. But we got to discuss this week, and that's what we did here with our rapid fire picks of the week. So we really appreciate you guys listening to it. That's our college football content. If you were like, whoa, I really like this episode, or man, I actually really didn't like this episode, I want to get more info on college football, we have another episode for you guys with our CFP reactions. And if you just scroll down, it's one episode before this one. So thank you guys for listening, and Janoah, send us out.
Yo, Dewey Nation, this was our college rapid picks of the week there. Many exciting matchups that are going to determine how this college football playoff is going to, work out, especially these, conference championships that is just around the corner there. So it's definitely an exciting time there. Exciting time here for college football. So keep tuned. Let us know what you think. This is going to be a series that we're going to continue all the way through mid-January. It's crazy to think that we'll possibly be knowing who's going to the Super Bowl before we knowing, who's our national champion there. So as much as NFL fans we are, Dewey Nation, we're always going to have a ton of love for college football. We're never going to neglect that there. So definitely stay tuned with us. Keep close. Keep an ear out, and go Longhorns and Aggies. But definitely, hopefully a Texas team can come out on top there. So definitely, Dewey Nation, we love you guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.
Peace.